Hey, what's up, guys? This is another look at the storm. I'm making this video for a couple of guys on my channel. Some of the guys I chat with are still on the fence with this one, waiting to see more information or see me fly it more. Then I realized, oh hell, I never did the full review on the storms. Here's the full review, guys. The Hubsan H122-D storm. Pow! I guess I'm going kind of backwards here, guys. In my first video, I did a sneak peek of the storm, and then in the second video, I was showing you guys how to bind it to the jumper. And I skipped over all the parts about what I liked about this bird and why I gave it 2 thumbs up. The storm, for me, at the time I got it, it was like right up my alley, and it still is. This one's for the guys that want to get into racing. You want a fast bird, you want a racer, you want a decent camera on it, 5.8 gigahertz FPV, but you don't want to have to program it. You don't want to have to go into beta flight, set it up, and fine tune it and stuff like that, guys. That's getting to be a little hectic these days because a decent bird, or in the racer category, a decent racer ready to fly is hard to find, guys, especially at the novice to intermediate level. If you're not a pro racer yet, hell, I got several racers in my collection and I don't do any racing. Okay, guys, let's go over all of the storm features. Remember, the storm is a brushed motor, beginner class FPV racer, but it has a full carbon body frame, has a buzzer on it. That's a location buzzer. If it ever loses contact with the transmitter, the buzzer will buzz. It's a beeper. That's also a low battery warning beeper as well. The storm has a 5.8 gigahertz 720p camera in it, and it's a pretty decent camera. You can go back and watch the previous videos I did with it. It's a 2-speed. The brush motors are coreless, 10mm coreless motors. The props are screw-in. The props screw in what appear to be screwed on to the motors, but in actuality, that screw is attached to like a metal collar that goes on top of the tiny little shaft motor that's found on all your basic 10mm motors. So these motors aren't proprietary. If you ever blow one of these motors, it can be changed out. Guys, I have crashed the storm over and over and over again, and I'm still using the original props on this one. This is the fully loaded version, guys. I got this one in from TomTop. I'm going to be taking this one out and doing the flight with the stock monitor and the Hubsan VR glasses. In my sneak peek, I never used the glasses, and I actually went on record and bashed them a little bit, saying that they're heavy as hell. They are pretty heavy, but I'm gonna fly with it and see how it feels out in the field. The storm is a 2-speed, guys. To change the speed, I believe it's the right stick. Press it inward, and then that changes the speed. The transmitter will beep a couple times when you're in second speed. The flip button is the throttle stick. Press the throttle stick, and you got to remember that, guys. Hubsan always goes opposite of what everybody else does. Usually flips are on the right and speed is on the left, but it's the opposite with this transmitter. Hubsan does everything backwards from the traditional quadcopters. Even their A motors turn counterclockwise versus clockwise. That's strange. On the transmitter, there's a button to turn the LED lights off and on. That's the front headlight. It also has red lights on the back. Let's go ahead and plug it in. from the transmitter, you can turn that front headlight off, but the rear LEDs stay on all the time, which is pretty cool though. There's also a button on the transmitter to turn on and off the on-screen display. We'll cover that in just a little bit here, guys. What we're going to do is show you this unique way to bind the Hubsan. When you first get this one out of the box, even though it's ready to fly, it's a three-way binding process if you get the fully loaded version. The transmitter, the quadcopter, and the receiver, the FPV receiver, all have to go through a binding process. And you should only have to do that once, guys. So when you first get it out of the box, you have to hold the camera button down while powering on the transmitter. The transmitter beeps and the blue light is flashing rapidly. If you have the stock transmitter, the second thing you want to do is turn the transmitter on. Turn the receiver on. It's going to light up for a second, and then you're going to get everything except your FPV signal. So there's a button here, the lower left button, it's labeled CE, press and hold that. And the transmitter is now in the binding mode, and both of those guys are waiting for a signal from the quadcopter. It takes a little while, so you have to be patient with that, guys. Once you hear that beep, her headlights stop flashing. We still don't have FPV yet, but wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. I think it's coming. Or you may have to shut it all down and start over again. What I'll do is shut everything down again and start in a normal mode, which is quadcopter on first. Press the power button on the transmitter. Those two are talking to each other, seem to enjoy each other's company. And let's turn the FPV monitor on. Make sure I don't have a lens cover on there. Okay, there we go. All of that takes a while. The reason for this three-way binding, guys, is for telemetry. Here you can see some of the figures I have on the screen. Some of this isn't necessary, but there's pitch and roll angles or degrees on the screen. But here you can see battery voltage for the quadcopter, battery voltage for the receiver itself. And you also get indications whether you're recording or how to shoot it, if you shoot a picture or not. So that's pretty cool. What's also cool is it's a standard 5.8 gigahertz camera, and you can use other goggles in case you buy the package, the standard package without the monitor. You can use any other monitor or goggles with this bird. Here I'm using my eSheen goggles too. And pretty decent camera on it. And like I said, that binding process, you should only have to do it once. The three-way binding sort of makes this monitor proprietary to this quadcopter because it doesn't have a scan button. What you saw was an automatic search to connect to the transmitter within this particular quad. This may work on other storms, but I can't get this monitor to give me a FPV. I can't use this monitor, say for instance, to monitor signal on one of my tiny whoops around the house here. So actually I've never taken a look at how the monitor also goes inside of these VR glasses. The monitor has a little weight to it, and the glasses are fairly heavy themselves. Now, guys, I don't have a scale handy. I think I got one down in the garage somewhere. I'm guilty of over-exaggerating sometimes. And I said, this setup feels like it weighs 3 pounds, but put it like this, it's heavier than any of the other goggles I have in my collection. But that's not too bad. I forgot to mention this in all my previous reviews. The monitor has a SD card slot on it as well. The camera is 720p. I believe the monitor will record in 640 or something like that. I'm not quite sure. I'll put that information on the screen if I run across it. But overall, not a bad package. Ready to fly. Let's see if we're ready to fly. To arm the motors, both sticks down to the outside. Yep. And to kill the motors, both sticks down to the outside again, or to the inside would kill the motors. Oh wow, here you can see that I've turned the quad off. We're getting a lost signal warning there on the transmitter, so that's pretty cool. We're going to take it out and fly it all stock with the stock transmitter, with the FPV monitor on the transmitter, and then I'm going to put the transmitter in the VR glasses and give them a try. I'm kind of spoiled on my goggles, my 2 sets of goggles, my primary goggles I use when I fly. And goggles are getting to be like transmitter. I did a previous review where I did take the Storm out and fly it with the jumper transmitter, guys. Control of this quad with the stock transmitter or with the hobby class transmitter, I found to be an outstanding value for its price, guys. So check it out. The big flight's coming up next. Pow!
you.